I think we are. Give me a second. Now we are live on YouTube. So
Awesome.
smile,
Very
guys,
good.
you're live. So welcome everyone. So it's a pleasure to have this webinar once again from the e-commerce team. And today we're going to talk about the new tool e-commerce has developed, which is called Compas. So I'll pause the sound on YouTube, otherwise I'm hearing myself. So the first thing we're welcoming two guests this week is Christian and Claudio. So I have an opening question for everyone. So can you share a fun fact about yourself? This is not prepared, so you will love it. So a fun fact, who
Oh,
starts?
I can
wow.
start. I have a good one. A fun fact about myself is that back in my college days, I used to give a private tennis lesson to Bill Gates.
Is that true?
That is true, 100% true. Yeah.
Is he
Wow.
nice?
He's nice. He's kind of strange, but he's a nice guy. Yeah.
Okay.
I've met
Well,
him and his wife, and I gave a tennis lesson to his wife as well, and it was good. It was fun.
like, look at that. We've got a celebrity. And then
Really?
Claudio, you now your
Yo, I
go.
beat this, right? Well, I think
Can you beat
I'm
it?
no, that would be that would be pretty hard. I'm still trying to figure out if that is true or not, but yeah, I believe you.
I
I
actually
think
have pictures.
you do have pictures. Wow.
Yeah.
I think a funny thing is when I first started my business venture about, I don't know, 10 or 15 years ago, I started to sell stickers. That was the stupidest thing ever, but yeah, they were black and white, by the way. So
Stickers.
right,
Okay. So you
that's what
started your life, and that's
that was my
you need.
entrepreneurial journey, right?
Okay, so you will need to find a funnier fact for later on, but okay, we'll take it that. So maybe you get two words about yourselves, and then we'll get started. So Chris, two words about you, who you
Yeah.
are, where you're coming from.
Yeah, I'm the senior business consultant for e-commerce. I've been fairly new in this role. My background has been always in e-commerce slash retail and sales. And my role before that was actually within Amazon itself as a vendor manager. So yeah, I mean, other than that, there's nothing that much interesting about me.
Cool. Claudio.
Well, as I said, I started really early with all kinds of entrepreneurial journeys. Then I worked in management consulting, and currently I'm working as a consultant for e-commerce, taking care of the data part of the consulting team.
Awesome. So let's dive into Compass. And could you give like a short intro? What is Compass? What is its aim and what is it achieving?
Okay, let me start. So Compass in general is a account audit tool. So it takes into account a lot of KPIs that we consolidated. We use machine learning and advanced data analytics to provide to the clients the most, I would say, most accurate and most advanced data there is. So to keep it in a nutshell, I would say it reveals to the company where you have your weaknesses, but also where you have your strengths. And on that point, we then, of course, give advice on both sides.
Okay, cool. And so I understand it's so basically you're giving clarity to people on what their situation, what they need to do to improve it. And so how does that work? How does Compass work basically?
Okay, I'll take this one. So how does it work is what we're doing is we're having a 360-degree overview about the Amazon activity that the company has. And how we did this, we have what we call the e-commerce growth model that is built on four principles. First of all is strategy, and we're looking at things like pricing, market placements, excuse me, strategy in terms of reviews. We're analyzing reviews, and we're looking at what we call sentiment analysis. So this we cover this in terms of the strategic part. And then secondly, there's the content, and by content we mean we're analyzing the quality of the listings that the company has on Amazon. And then thirdly, we're looking at operations. And on operations, we analyze the efficiency of the logistics part of the activity. And then lastly, we're looking at traffic. And by traffic, we analyze the advertising efficiency of the company. How I like to say about it is that we're considering this as being like a doctor's check for your Amazon's activity. So you can imagine that you go to the doctor and they do all these tests for you, right? And then they come up with a list of values that are within or out of range. We're doing this, but what's even more that we're providing is the fact that we're providing actionable insights, and we're providing recommendations based on those values.
So yeah, so it's a very in-depth of
Right.
what the account looks like. And talking about the accounts, what part of the Amazon accounts will be looked at?
I think Claudia had already a very good summary about it. And what we will look at is either the vendor account, which is the vendor side, or the seller side, which is the seller central account. There's obviously multiple reports that we can pull data from within those accounts. And as Claudia said, we work on 4 pillars. I mean, I like to call them pillars, which are the strategy, the operations, the conversion, and the traffic. So there's a lot that is falling into that. I mean, if we talk about operations, it can be the rep out of stock metric, it can be the VLT metric. If we talk about conversion, for example, we can go into the IDQ, or I mean, IDQ stands for item data quality. So we can look into how a product is set up, how are the bullet points, how is the title, does it have enough images, does it even have the right images, and so on. So there's a wide range of opportunity and things that we can use for reporting purposes.
Okay, that's quite a wide span. And so when you look at and you go on LinkedIn or on many stuff, you see there are a lot of people doing audits and offering free audits, and obviously sometimes it's a way for agencies to get new customers, saying, okay, I'll give you a free audit, and then basically I will sell my services. What in how is this Compas tool different from normal audits?
So based on our, I would say, consulting and also most of us ex-Amazonian experience and knowledge, I think we're taking a much different approach than most of the other auditing tools. So as we said before, like we use big data, we use data analytics, we use actual machine learning as well, and we combine that into one great tool, and that came out now to be called Compas.
And but why was this tool developed? What was the insight at the beginning?
Well, I think I can say a few things about the beginning of the tool. So I think it all started just about the time when I started my collaboration with e-Comas. I remember I was talking with you, Jerome, about if there really is any tool that has an overview about all the activity that is present on Amazon. Because what happens usually, customers come or clients come and they specifically know that they have a need. Usually that really isn't the need that they need to solve. So what happens is you need to have an 360-degree overview about the activity so that you really know if the focus point is what they're stating. So I actually came with the idea because we use this in management consulting. This proved to be very efficient in terms of diagnosing a company's activity. You don't really have to jump in on what the customer says that they have a pain point on, but you'll have to have an overall look about what's happening with all the activity, and then you figure if what they really state is necessary to work on.
And so, and what kind of technology is used? So your background is data analytics. So
Right.
what did you bring, and what kind of tools? Where, if I understand well, is not there in other auditing tools, right?
Right. So what we're doing is we're trying to e-commerce is really a data-centric company, and is really trying to become even more data-centric. So what we're doing with this tool is what we call we have soft data analytics tools that we're using, and by this I mean business intelligence tools for the dashboarding and the nice data visualizations that we're creating for the purpose of presenting data to the customers. But what's even more interesting is that we're using machine learning for this. And a good example for this is the sentiment analysis that I was talking at the beginning. So I'm not going to be very technical on this, but what we're doing is we can imagine that we have 10,000 reviews, right? All those reviews or the whole amount of reviews in machine learning terms is called the corpus. Now, this corpus has these 10,000 reviews, and then each review is composed out of a different amount of topics, right, that we're trying to extract out of it. And then those topics are composed of words. So we have 4 layers that we're examining here. And then what happens is these machine learning algorithms, based on the word frequency and the distance between words and topics within the reviews, they basically show us what's the what we call the quality drivers, critical quality drivers. And we do this for positive and negative reviews. So finally, we end up with a defined list of topics. That can be 3 or 5 or whatever we establish this. Usually it's 3. So we end up with a list of topics that basically we consider that are the ones that are driving either the positive reviews or the negative reviews. There are lots of technicalities behind the algorithm, but in short, that's how we use it specifically for the sentiment analysis part.
Okay, so we could say that the sentiment analysis is something which is an add-on from typical audits,
Right,
and
totally.
that it's giving a lot of insights on what thousands of customers are saying about your products, and a lot of learnings of what you're doing well and probably less well,
Right.
or as what your customers are finding. So
Exactly.
that's very insightful. And how does that? So we can get the benefit there is, but what's the main benefit for the customer, or what do they gain from that?
I mean, they gain the insights. I mean, they gain the power that they didn't have before. And with that, they can, of course, if it's a client of ours or someone else that simply just wanted a Compas audit, they can go back to their logistics teams or their marketing teams in order to actually drive changes, show them that there's a lack in either the logistic part, which can then be fixed or started to get fixed in terms of marketing. Maybe check if the marketing budget is actually spent well or not. Maybe there needs to be some readjustment in terms of marketing. How a product page is set up, if they're making maybe some mistakes, if there maybe not even enough bullet points, and they have to add a certain thing or two. So it's actually value that we're creating for them, and it's a lot of insights that they can then take and go inside their own company, of course, and provide that information to them.
Okay. And do you yourself have, I have an example in mind, but do you have examples of how that was beneficial, or what you managed to deliver to some customers with this tool?
I think first example that comes into my mind is we did an analysis for a consumer electronics company. And what we did is, when we looked at the reviews, we found very interesting that specifically on this side of the sentiment analysis, on the negative reviews, we find it very interesting that even though customers really see that the products have a very good sound quality, they really see it as having a pretty bad connectivity. This was considered a pretty new thing for the company, because they were investing quite a lot of money in terms of the way they improve their connectivity of their products. And it was quite insightful for them to find out that actually still most of the negative reviews are coming from the connectivity side, and things like fit and others topics as well. But this was quite of an interesting thing.
Yeah,
to find out lately.
The next generation of product they produced made sure they had the connectivity and an app which was working much better to the customer's taste. So indeed, that was a very great insight they could get from the reviewing the thousands of reviews you can't do on your own. So yeah, okay, great example. Chris, you have an example?
Yeah, what I want to add to that is in terms of content. We recently had a client, I don't want to go too further into that, but there was, for example, the audit, when that was successfully done, we managed to pinpoint them into a certain issue that they didn't see at first. And that specific issue, for example, it was a very basic issue, which is causing a lot of, I would say, conversion to either decrease or increase, and that is translation. So we have the German marketplace, which is Amazon.de, and a lot of brands don't understand that you can also on Amazon.de change the language to English, right? And this is one of the issues that one of our clients had. They didn't know that, and therefore Amazon had generic translations in English for their product, which were a complete mess. There was no product description. It was terrible bullet points, even though their German translation was picobello, like perfect. So this was, for example, one of the insights that they got out of that in terms of a content audit, which was also a quick fix for them, and definitely drove their conversion as well.
Okay, well, yeah, great insight. I remember with a major brand, we were doing an audit also, that we found out that by looking at the number of resellers and the pricing, the differences in the pricing, we could already understand that their distribution was out of control, and that basically there were so many people selling their product at so many different prices that it was very difficult to grow any business on Amazon. The first step was to try to solve the distribution issue and the pricing strategies they had with their distributors. So as you can see from all those examples, the Compas tool will enable you to unhearse a lot of different issues, from the strategic part, from the operation, from what people are saying about your brand or about your product. And that gives you a lot of insights to really make a difference and be very impactful on Amazon. So yeah. I know, Claudio, you wanted to show us a bit the dashboard and
Let me just
an example.
Yeah. Let me just move this. Okay. So what we have here is, you can see my screen, right?
Yes, yeah. We do.
So what we have here is a short glance of the reviews of a generic company. Now, what we have here on the left is we can see that obviously in both countries that the company is activating, there's a decline in terms of the reviews that they have. This was a new thing for them. They knew that they have a bunch of negative reviews and a bunch of positive reviews, but they didn't really have this overview picture about the fact that during the last 10 years, the overall ratings were decreasing. Okay. Now, what's interesting here as well on this seasonality graph is we have the number of reviews during the last 10 years. And what we can observe from here is that this, together with the fact that they had a decrease in sales, they actually had a very, very steep decline in the number of reviews as well. Now on this graph here, on the last graph on the right, what we can see is the total percentage of what we call negative reviews, 1, 2, or 3-star reviews. And then on this representation here at the bottom of the screen, what we can see is the top 10 products by the number of reviews together with their overall rating. So we can see that even though they have lots of reviews, the overall rating might not be the highest possible. So there's plenty of room for improvement here, indeed. Now, in terms of the sentiment analysis and how this looks like, we have a short glance here at what we call, as I said, critical to quality drivers. What we have here on the left is the first 3 topics. This was for a shoes accessory company. So the first topic in terms of the positive review was that the product is good for a condition called plantar fasciitis. And what's interesting here as well is the fact that we managed to not only extract the topics, but we managed to extract what's the most common use phrase by the customers in their reviews related to this specific topic. So this, for example, for this one, most of the customers say that the product helped for their condition. Then secondly, product is good for arch support, and thirdly, it relieved the heel pain. Now, looking at the negative drivers, what really popped into their eyes here is not the first one. They knew that most of the negative reviews are coming because of the fact that clients are ordering a wrong size, either a small or a big. But what really was interesting for them is the finding that customers are stating that they received an empty box. And what's even more interesting is that those reviews are coming from the last period of April 2020. So that's quite interesting, meaning that they can figure that they have a problem in terms of the logistics, right? So what we have here, lastly, is a short glance of what we call, as Chris said, item data quality. Chris, do you want to go over it or you want me to do it?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I can quickly do that.
You see
So
what's on the right here because I have my.
it's fine. So this is basically a snippet of our IDQ analysis, what we are showing. On the left, you can see on the top left, you can see the bullet points. It of course depends how many you have. It can go further than 5. So, but it does show you exactly how many letters you do have. And on the right, you can also see it goes up to 155. So this is the max, but we would definitely recommend, and you see on this example, we would recommend at least 70. So none of those bullet points, I would say, have reached. So this is, you can clearly see there already a potential and an improvement to be made. A+ content on the right is pretty much 100%. It's a nice little graph that you can also have in detail per ASIN to see how much covered you are on A+. Again, title length, what we recommend and what there currently is, which is 43. The max is 200. So it's pretty much straightforward, and we try to make it as simple as possible for our clients to understand. So there's not going to be a lot of back and forth on questions, at least on Compas itself. So that's why I think it's pretty much straightforward and self-explanatory on, I would say, most of our points. Yeah.
What we have to remember here is that this is like only less than a quarter of what the actual Compas product is. So we just showed a quick glance of a few things that we consider are quite interesting, but obviously the whole product delivered to the customer is a lot more bigger and complex than what we have here.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Claudio. I think we can close the screen sharing now and maybe move into questions. If anybody's got any questions, you can type it in the question box. Maybe my first question to get the session started is, what kind of customer is the best fit for Compas? Like, what is it okay for a startup starting on Amazon, or is it for a very large company? What would be the target customer or audience for that tool?
I would say that we really thought this product is we don't really want to exclude startups, acting like we don't really want to help businesses. But what happens is, as we said, that this product is very data centric, and what happens is that startups don't necessarily have a lot of data that we can work on. So the best customer would most probably have a turnover of over €1 million or pounds or whatever. Dollars doesn't necessarily that's not necessarily the threshold that we'll look at, but if it really has a turnover of about $1 million, let's say, we have the assumption that there's some data behind, like in the number of reviews. For example, if we don't have 1,000 of reviews, for example, that really isn't a very much added value in terms of sentiment analysis, because obviously those reviews can be analyzed by just somebody looking at them. So I think first point is that there really needs to be it's probably complicated to say a great amount of data that the company has, but as I said, I think if we're looking at companies with over €1 million or dollars in turnover, I think that's our goal.
Is there, and for the sentiment analysis, what kind of threshold, what kind of amount of data or amount of reviews is important to get to?
Yeah, so the way this works is the more the better, obviously. But as I said, I think that like the lowest bottom line would probably be about 1,000 reviews per SKU or per ASIN. If the company doesn't really have that, uh, it really is a bit complicated, because the algorithms actually work better when you have a lot of data, because they learn on the data that you have. So uh, I would say at least 1,000 reviews per SKU.
Okay, so
I
if
would
yeah,
add to that, Jerome, that something that's very important to us is that we are going to be also very transparent. If there's a client that wants to do Compas with us, but maybe does not have enough information for us to actually create an audit, make sure, or like you can definitely know that we're going to be honest and tell you that this doesn't make sense if we don't have enough data. So you can definitely rely on that, because unfortunately it is still very much data driven, and we do need quite a lot of data for a full audit. So yeah, it does make a difference, and we will always be transparent with our clients on that.
Okay, so it makes sense. Probably there's an amount of, there are different pillars to your audit. So depending on the maturity or the amount of data, you probably could perform one or the other pillar.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind that the full value is when you have all the pillars, because Amazon is a full environment. Okay,
I agree.
Got a question from Jess that says, okay, does the customer get access to the dashboard you showed, or report on PDF? How does the customer get the data?
So currently, the customer will receive this specific report in PDF together with lots of other data. But we're currently working on having this type of dashboarding sent to the customer so that they can play with it, because as you saw, that's pretty interactive. So obviously, it really helps the customers to have it interactive. Currently, we're delivering it in a PDF form, because we don't really have a server set up for sharing the dashboards with clients. But we're looking into having this as an interactive dashboard in the future as well.
Okay, very good. Does anyone have other questions? You can type in the Q&A. It's like, yeah, I had one question actually, which was from your experience, which part of Compas do you prefer, or kind of which insight is most impactful for you on the different pillars? Like for both of you, which one you feel is the most powerful?
I definitely wouldn't split it into what is more powerful than what is not, because in a whole, I think the audit is very powerful to every client. I personally love the logistics side, because I'm very interested in all of that, and to see improvements and to see the growth, and even if it's just by half a day, the delivery time improvements on certain ASINs, I love to see that. So I'm very keen on the logistic part for sure.
I'll probably repeat myself, obviously, in terms of the sentiment analysis that I keep talking about. But obviously, this is what I really love and what I really like playing with, so that we can provide customers with very interesting insights out of them.
Yeah, and to be honest, a lot of audits will talk about your content, like people will go on Amazon and say, okay, you have your bullet points, you have your pictures, and sometimes on the advertising, but like less people focus on both the logistics. It's like understanding where you're weak with your logistics and what you could do better to basically have the algorithm more confident with your brand and the way you're supplying. And also looking at reviews, and not only putting your products and say, okay, I don't care anymore, but building in what customers are saying. And there are a lot of companies which are paying a lot of money just to listen to what customers are saying, but sometimes they get an enormous amount of data and they don't know how to do it. So Amazon makes it very easy to listen to customers and this tool is providing a lot of insights like easily. So for that point, we are trying to focus on where other audits are probably less strong.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely, I mean, this is why we designed it and created this, because it has from every single point of view some sort of KPI going into this audit, which like you already said before, most of the other tools or websites have one specific topic, if it's content or whatever, but they don't have everything in one. And that's what I like the most. And what I also like about it is that we actually give recommendations, or we also give tips to how to improve it and how to improve it quickly. Not that you just go on a website, you have a subscription and you see, okay, I have 3 out of 5 bullet points, whatever, but there's no suggestion, especially on the logistics side, on how you can actually change it, how you can quickly change it. So this is something, I think, one of the key highlights as well.
Yeah, I like it very much, and I think one of the good things is that, and the fact that having you both here, it shows exactly what often in cases when you bring two people from different point of view and different experience, you will bring a lot of value. And having someone who's an ex-Amazon Pan-EU vendor manager and a data analyst, then that will bring you a lot of insights and somewhat different to what you typically would get from a typical audit.
Mm-hmm.
I have another question here. Christian had mentioned that Compas once showed bad quality for English translation for a client. Has this particular insight been taken from sentiment analysis, or does Compas has a separate module analyzing the content quality, linguistic quality?
So I wouldn't say in terms of actual like linguistic or wording, but we do. It's not part of the sentiment analysis. It's more of the content analysis that we do, and there we can also split it in multiple languages. And this is what we have done last time. We've done a check on German with German language, and then we've done a check on Germany, Amazon.de, but on English language. So there's definitely a specific part just for content, and that specific content analysis. Yeah.
And that goes into drilling into the IDQ and going a step further into understanding how that goes. It's also Compas has got those pillars, but also analyzing some results, like having only the result, like conversion rate is not very good. We go a step further, also understanding why would it be not working. And I think sentiment analysis doesn't go into into the differences between the English and the German in terms of translation. It only goes into what German customer would say and what English customer, like English speaking customer would say, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I would say at this point it's quite difficult to have an analysis in terms of if the translation is good or not. So that's quite complicated. I don't think this can be done yet, but we're obviously looking into that for sure.
Yeah, but we could be, the tool will give you insights what the different language customers are saying, because those tools can work whatever the language, right?
That really depends. What happens is the what is called the natural language processing, the class of these algorithms that we're using, they prove to be working best for English language because this is the most researched language. So it will be quite of a challenge to analyze other language than English. I would say maybe German, we can take a shot on that, but that would probably not provide the best results yet, because the libraries of the algorithms are not yet as developed as for the English language.
Okay, great. I have another question is using the footwear example, Cloud, you showed earlier. Can you give examples of the practical tips you would give?
In terms of the sentiment analysis, or in terms of the overall?
I think you showed two parts. So maybe on the both parts, what would be the main learnings on the reviews and the sentiment analysis?
Right. So I think one of the main learnings, as I said when I showed the dashboard, is about the fact that we can easily see if there is an upward or a downward trend in terms of the overall customer perception about in this case the company, because we analyzed all the reviews. Second one is, as I showed, about the fact that they started to have a problem in logistics because packages were starting to be shipped empty. I think these were the main two learnings we had for this specific client. There isn't something that really pops into my mind now, but obviously we really have a lot of insights in the whole report that we're delivering to the customer.
Okay.
And what I also want to add to this, and which is, in my opinion, also another key highlight. I like to use this word key highlight a lot, but is that since this is still a fairly new tool, we are obviously collecting feedback from clients as well. We're collecting feedback on what could be even made better or what could also be included. A lot of clients have different needs and maybe need different KPIs, different information. So we're working our butts off more or less in order to implement everything and make it as flexible as possible. So I think this is something that stands out from other auditing tools for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we try to find the best conclusion or bits to that. It will really help to implement real stuff and real working strategies for them to improve their results on Amazon.
Yeah.
Okie doke. I think we are done with all the questions. No, we have another one. Cool. Can this tool work on auditing listings in all EU5 languages? Who wants to take that one?
Yeah, well, as I said, it can work in terms of everything except the part where we analyze specifically the sentiment analysis. It can work on UK very, very good, because indeed it's an English language that we have there.
And the US then.
And the US, yeah, but I think the question was about EU, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay, so yeah, it can work for the analysis of the reviews in UK, but that would not work for the other languages. But it can indeed provide a lot of value within the other areas of Compas, because indeed we're not only focusing on sentiment analysis. So if the company is big enough and it has enough data that we can look at, we can for sure provide lots of insights on the other areas of the audit.
Thank you very much. Anybody else got any other questions? This is the time. I think it looks like we're all good. Next week, I will be invited to a webinar by Feedback 5, and I will be talking. So I think it's next Tuesday, but all the details will be on our webpage and in our emails also. So I'll be looking forward to talking and sharing with you all. And thank you very much for the feedback. I read it. Thank you for a very informative webinar. So great. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great evening. Everyone. And yeah, we'll meet soon. And if anybody has got a question, you can get to us on our website, e-Comas.com, or on LinkedIn, either Christian, Claudio, or myself. And anywhere else, we're on LinkedIn and even on Facebook and YouTube. So here you go. Thank you very much. Take care, everyone.
Yeah, next time I'll try to beat Christian's joke. Okay.
Yeah.
That would be hard, but yeah. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye. So thank you for joining. She's left, so we're between ourselves. Well done.
Yeah.
You're still live on YouTube, huh?
Indeed.